Hello everyone, I am Akarsh Hosamani and I am going to review Chapter 12 BPM as an enterprise capability of the second edition of the book Fundamentals of Business Process Management by Mullen Thomas and others. So, what's ahead in this presentation? This chapter is all about business process management methods and tools across the BPM lifecycle. It emphasizes the importance of coordinating multiple BPM projects within an organization, collectively known as BPM programs. The central question addressed is, what does it take to successfully manage a BPM program? The approach views BPM as an enterprise capability on par with other management disciplines. There are a total of six success factors of BPM maturity, and the two factors are already discussed in the previous chapter, and we'll see the remaining four here. The ones we are going to discuss are strategic alignment, governance, people, and culture. Additionally, this chapter mentions the use of a BPM maturity model to assess an organization's BPM maturity. Also, we'll see the 10 principles of good BPM. Let's start with barriers to BPM success. So here I'm going to discuss six barriers, and the first one is misaligned with business goals. BPM success should always connect to achieving business goals. It's not enough to excel in individual activities or create high quality artifacts. For instance, if an organization overemphasizes Six Sigma training without aligning it with its strategic objectives, it might not drive the desired business success. The second one is isolation of BPM projects. When BPM projects are managed in isolation, it can lead to confusion and inefficiencies. Inconsistent methods, policies, and technologies across projects can hinder overall progress. It's crucial to integrate BPM initiatives for a cohesive approach. I'm sorry. The third one is underestimation of change. Implementing a new process design doesn't guarantee immediate operational movement. Organization changes and cultural shifts are often required. These changes are challenging to implement and sustain, and they play a vital role in the success of BPM initiatives. Let's move to lack of strategic alignment. Simply focusing on BPM methods and tools without aligning them with broader business goals can hinder success. BPM should complement other management disciplines, and alignment is very essential for synergies. BPM is not the only sole source of organizational improvement. The fifth one is weak governance structure. Strong governance structure is necessary to ensure alignment, consistency, and strategic direction in BPM programs. A robust governance framework helps maintain order, track progress, and make necessary adjustments, contributing to program success. The last one is employee engagement and culture. Employee understanding of how their work contributes to the organization's bigger picture is crucial for BPM success. Company culture also plays a significant role, and it's very essential to involve and educate employees, fostering a culture that embraces BPM initiatives and drives their success. Now, let's discuss the six success factors of BPM maturity. This chapter discusses the challenges and complexities of managing multiple BPM projects within an insurance company's various lines of business. To ensure the success of BPM programs, this chapter highlights six critical factors, each measuring specific aspects of BPM management. These factors include strategic alignment, governance, methods, information technology, people, and culture, all of which play a vital role in BPM success. This chapter introduces the BPM maturity model as an instrument to measure the maturity of BPM programs within organizations. It emphasizes the need for a balanced approach and stresses that the collective maturity in these factors contribute to a successful BPM program, which ultimately leading to higher business and organizational performance. We can also see BPM maturity model in this slide. Going forward, I'm going to explain each success factor in detail. Let's start with strategic alignment. So we're going to dig deeper into the factors of BPM maturity. In other chapters of this book, methods and IT factors have already been covered. So I'll overview the other four success factors in this presentation. So strategic alignment measures the role and impact of business strategy on BPM, as well as the role and impact of BPM on business strategy. It can be broken down into the following capability areas. The first one is strategy driven BPM project planning. This capability area emphasizes the need to align BPM methods and tools with specific business goals throughout the BPM lifecycle. It begins with strategic importance, guiding the selection of which processes to manage. For example, if your business strategy prioritizes customer intimacy, you must focus on managing core processes that strongly influence customer experience. The second one is strategy and process capability linkage. This area captures the two-way relationship between business strategy and business processes. It involves understanding how changes in strategy impact processes and how processes capabilities affect strategic choices. I'm sorry. Balanced scorecards offer a structured way to connect strategy with processes. For example, if a strategy change leads to discontinuing an unprofitable insurance service, all processes related to that service need to be decommissioned. The third one is enterprise process architecture. A well-defined enterprise process architecture provides a high-level view of how organization delivers value through its core processes, support processes, and management processes. It serves as the foundation for BPM projects and requires regular review to ensure its relevance and completeness. The fourth one is process performance measures. To measure process performance and align it with business objectives, you need clear objectives and related process measures for each business process. These measures should be standardized to enable cross process comparisons and aggregations. The use of balanced scorecards can help define and measure process performance. The last one is process customers and stakeholders. Incorporating the views and priorities of various stakeholders, including customers and external parties, is essential. This means understanding the different priorities of influential individuals or groups, even if they conflict with each other. The focus should be on core processes since they interact directly with external parties. In overall, strategic alignment enhances BPM program effectiveness by ensuring that BPM activities and objectives are directly linked to business strategy and the needs of all relevant stakeholders. It is an essential factor to consider for the overall success of a BPM program. The next one is governance. BPM governance is dedicated to the definition of appropriate and transparent accountability in terms of roles and responsibilities for different levels of BPM. Furthermore, it is tasked with the design of decision making and reward processes to guide process related actions. We can articulate BPM governance according to the following capability areas. Decision making. BPM governance involves defining clear processes for making critical BPM decisions. These decisions guide actions in both expected and unexpected circumstances through the BPM lifecycle. Second one is roles and responsibilities. This aspect of governance encompasses the definition of various BPM related roles and their associated responsibilities. In a BPM program, these roles range from process analysts who apply BPM methods and IT under the guidance of BPM methodologists to process owners who oversee individual BPM projects. The next one is performance measurement. A robust process performance measurement system is crucial for efficiently evaluating process performance. While the definition of process performance measures falls under the strategic alignment factor, This capability area focuses on who is responsible for measuring process performances and outlines the procedures and tools for conducting the measurements, standards and guidelines. To maintain consistency across BPM projects and the overall BPM program, clear standards, conventions, and guidelines must be defined and documented. BPM standards dictate which methods and software tools are to be used across the BPM lifecycle. The last is quality controls. BPM quality controls involve implementing regular review cycles to ensure the quality and relevance of process management principles. This cycle help maintain the quality and currency of key BPM principles and practices like prioritizing process reuse or development or ensuring that process automation aligns with the redesign process. So, overall, this slide provides a concise overview of the governance success factor in BPM, highlighting the critical components essential for effective BPM governance. So, next we have got people. The people factor is about the different individuals and groups that are directly involved in carrying out the various BPM projects, but as importantly, also about those that are affected by such projects. What needs to be understood is what knowledge people have access to and how the interaction between them takes place to realize an improvement in business process performance. The critical success factor involves the following capability areas. Process knowledge. This factor is all about how well individuals involved in BPM projects understand the specific process they deal with. It's crucial not only for those in process oriented roles like process owners, but also for regular participants who should have a grasp of how their work contributions to order processes. BPM knowledge. This involves assessing how well your organization as a whole understand and reconciles BPM as management practice. BPM and process training. This key factor evaluates how much your organization invests in developing BPM skills and process knowledge among employees. Process collaboration and communication. This area examines how individuals and groups interact to achieve desired process outcomes. It considers formal communication channels like meetings and briefings among process stakeholders and how consistently they use BPM related terms. The last is propensity to lead BPM. This factor is about the willingness of senior management to take lead in the BPM initiatives. Let's move on to the culture factor. This measures in culture quantity to the extent to which corporate culture is in supportive of BPM. Corporate culture, in essence, refers to the values and beliefs of the persons working in the organization. Culture covers the following capability areas. Process knowledge. This refers to how well individuals involved in BPM project understand the specific processes they work with. BPM knowledge. BPM knowledge examines the awareness and proficiency of individuals in BPM principles and practices. It's essential to gauge how well BPM is understood and recognized as management practice within an organization. BPM training. BPM and process training assesses the organization investment developing the maintaining BPM skills and process knowledge. Collaboration and communication. This area focuses on how well individuals and groups interact to achieve desired process outcomes collaboratively. It encompasses both formal communication channels such as meetings and briefings. Propensity to lead BPM. The propensity to lead BPM emphasizes the importance of senior management's willingness to lead, take responsibility for, and be accountable for BPM initiatives. These factors collectively contribute to the success of BPM initiatives, ensuring that people have the right knowledge, training, communication skills, and leadership support to drive BPM projects effectively. Let's discuss measuring process maturity and BPM maturity. Maturity models assess two vital dimensions of organizational capability: breadth and depth for BPM and processes. This assessment aids in understanding how well an organization manages both BPM activities and spectrum business process. BPM maturity assessment. BPM maturity evaluates the depth and breadth of BPM activities within an organization's BPM program. It aligns with the six critical success factors introduced earlier. A higher BPM maturity implies a well structured, comprehensive BPM program. Process maturity assessment. Process maturity assesses the breadth and depth of an organization's business process. It measures the quality and coverage of these processes. Let's see the process maturity assessment using CMMI. The capability maturity model integration is a widely used framework for assessing process maturity. It includes process areas, both domain independent and domain specific. Now we have got BPM maturity model that defines five levels. So, as discussed, CMMI defines five maturity levels 1 to 5 based on process maturity. BPM maturity follows a similar five level model. Level 1 initial, and which says minimal BPM efforts, often ad hoc and uncoordinated. Level 2 is managed. Initial BPM experiences build BPM capabilities and process thinking emerges. Level 3 is defined. BPM gains recognition, in-house BPM training emerges, reducing reliance on external expertise. Level 4 is quantitatively managed. Focus shifts to manage focus shifts to change management and strategic benefits. A BPM center of excellence coordinates efforts. Level 5 is optimizing. BPM is an integral to operations and strategy. A standardized approach is established. And also, this diagram is about patterns of BPM maturity, and the blue, orange, and green lines we'll discuss in the following slide. So we have got patterns of adoption. Three common patterns of BPM maturity adoptions are blue pattern, orange, and green patterns. Blue pattern is strong in strategic alignment and governance, often driven by executive support and strategic imperatives. Orange pattern is strong in methods and IT, typically driven by IT departments and technological expertise. Green pattern is moderate in people and culture, often found in organizations emphasizing consensus and public sector operations. So, how do we measure BPM maturity? Assessing BPM maturity across multiple capability areas helps determine, I'm sorry. So, it helps determine the organization's overall BPM maturity. The results can provide feedback to specific BPM roles and inform discussions at the management level, including the CEO. So, in conclusion, this section specifically provides us with an extensive explanation of BPM and process maturity assessment, incorporating the CMMI framework, maturity levels, adoption patterns, and the significance of appraisals in BPM improvement. So, what are the 10 principles of good BPM? The ideas behind BPM maturity are summarized in the 10 principles of good business process management. They are: principle of context awareness BPM, which should fit the organizational context. It should not follow a cookbook approach. Principle of continuity. BPM should be a permanent practice and it should not be a one-off project. Principle of enablement BPM. Principle of enablement. BPM should develop capabilities and it should not be limited to firefighting. Principle of holism. BPM should be inclusive in scope and it should not have an isolated focus. Principle of institutionalization. BPM should be embedded in the organizational structure and it should not be an ad hoc responsibility. Principle of involvement. BPM should integrate all stakeholder groups and it should not neglect employee participation. Principle of joint understanding. BPM should create shared meaning. It should not be the language of experts. Principle of purpose. BPM should contribute to strategic value creation and it should not be done for the sake of doing it. Principle of simplicity. BPM should be economical and should not be over engineered. And the last one is principle of technology appropriation. BPM should make opportune use of technology. It should not consider technology management as an afterthought. So, let's recap so far what I have discussed. In conclusion, this chapter emphasized the importance of viewing BPM as an integral enterprise capability rather than a series of isolated projects. It highlighted the critical factors behind BPM program failures, introduced the BPM maturity model, and outlined the key capability areas. The chapter also discussed BPM and process maturity assessments, differentiating between them and presenting three common BPM adoption patterns within organizations. To achieve sustainable success in BPM, it is essential to consider these factors and align BPM strategically, which establish robust governance and nurture a culture that values BPM. That's it. And this is all about BPM as an enterprise capability. I hope you understood what I've explained so far. Thank you so much.